Hey everyone, I'm Joseph Limbaugh, and this is a complete tutorial for my game Postcard Dungeons. It does not include the expansions, but those will probably be covered in later videos. In Postcard Dungeons, the players represent the leaders of adventurers' guilds. Their job is to make decisions in sending out their heroes into nearby dungeons to see who can capture the most valuable treasures. To play the game, you'll need 7 standard 6-sided dice. It's helpful if 3 of the dice are a different color from the rest. You'll also need 4 player tokens per player that are unique to each player. For example, you could have player tokens of a different color for each player. None of these dice or tokens are included with the game. Your ultimate goal in Postcard Dungeons is to capture these treasures here on the treasure section of the board. Specifically, you want to get the treasures that are worth the most victory points, represented by these little gems next to each treasure. Some treasures will also give you a magical bonus to your heroes on their adventures. In order to capture the treasures, you'll need to send your heroes into one of the 3 nearby dungeons. But first, you need to determine who the first player is by discovering who has most recently been underground. Like whoever took the subway to your game, or something like that. Alright, once you know who the first player is, you can start the game. Each player gets 3 turns, and each turn is called an adventure. During each adventure, a player does the following things. The first thing you need to do is choose a dungeon by putting one of your player tokens next to the dungeon and declaring out loud which one you choose. If a player starts rolling dice before choosing a dungeon, the player to the right gets to choose the dungeon for them. Keep in mind that there are 3 dungeons, and they escalate in difficulty as you go down. So Keep on the Hinterlands is the easiest, White Feather Mountain is harder, and Crypt of Terrors is a real meat grinder. Of course, the best treasures are found in the more dangerous dungeons. Once a dungeon is chosen, you'll roll 3 dice, one at a time. Putting the first die on the sorcery square, the second on traps, and the third on monsters. These 3 dice are called dungeon dice, and they represent the challenges you will face. Add the value of all 3 dungeon dice together, and using this total, follow the arrows to move them down into the appropriate room in the dungeon that you chose. Notice each dungeon die has some icons to the right of it in the box with it that show you what that die is doing to hamper your heroes as they seek treasure. For example, a dungeon die might be defending another dungeon die. If this is the case, you should rotate the die that is being defended an 8th turn so that it is cocked at an angle to show that it is defended. A dungeon die might be stunning one of your heroes. We'll get back to that in a second. Or a dungeon die might be attacking one of your heroes. Attacks do not occur until that particular dungeon die's turn comes up. We'll cover attacks a bit later as well. Once all of the dungeon dice are in place, and any defended dice are indicated by cocking them 1/8 turn, you'll roll your hero dice. For the hero dice, you'll roll 3 dice all at once, unless you have a hireling. If you have a hireling, you roll 4 dice, and choose 3 of them. Place your hero dice on the 3 hero spaces, Thief, Warrior, and Wizard, in any order you'd like. Each space must get a die, and you are only allowed to put 1 die on each space. Placement of these dice is probably the most important decision of the game. Once the hero dice are on the board, you'll look to see if any dungeon dice are stunning a particular hero. If they are, move the stunned hero down a bit below the box to show that they are stunned. If you have a treasure that defends a hero, cock the hero die an 8th turn to show it's defended, just like you did with the dungeon dice. Note that a defended hero can still be stunned. Now you are ready to resolve attacks. Each dungeon die or hero die gets 1 attack. These attacks go in order based on the numbers on the board, starting with sorcery, then going to thief, then traps, warrior, monsters, and finally wizard. In general, an attack can only be declared if the attacking die is equal to or greater than the target die. This holds true whether it is a dungeon die or a hero die that is attacking. Any defeated dice are removed from the board, but kept for scoring. When a dungeon die's turn to attack comes up, if it has an attack icon or icons next to it, it will attack. The icons are resolved from the top down. Dungeon dice without attack icons do not attack. Move on to the next die. There are two types of attacks that dungeon dice can make. One is a standard attack, represented by this claw. A dungeon die making a standard attack will attack whichever hero die is coming up in the turn order and then cycle through each hero die until it defeats a hero. Remember that it can only defeat a hero if the value of the dungeon die is equal to or greater than the hero die, and the hero die is undefended. If there are no valid targets, move on to the next die. A dungeon die might also make an instant kill attack, represented by a skull and one of the hero icons. This is a direct attack on a particular hero. An instant kill attack is deadly to the particular hero, and when the attack occurs, the targeted die is defeated regardless of the respected values of the two dice. An instant kill attack is ineffective against a defended hero. The attacks of your hero dice alternate with the dungeon attacks. When one of your hero dice gets a chance to attack, you get to choose any dungeon die to attack. Remember that you can't attack defended dungeon dice, or dungeon dice that have a higher value than the die that is attacking. A hero that is still stunned when their turn comes up loses their turn and does not get to attack. If a dungeon die that is defending another dungeon die, or stunning a hero is defeated, the effect ends. The defended die is now vulnerable, or the hero is no longer stunned. Once each die has had a chance to attack, your dungeon exploration is over, and you might get to capture a treasure. To capture treasure, first total all the dungeon dice that you defeated, then subtract the hero dice that were defeated by the dungeon. This total is your treasure score. You may use this score to capture one treasure from the treasure board. You are allowed to capture one treasure from the column associated with the dungeon you were exploring, or from the Any column. You are only allowed to capture one treasure, and each treasure may only be captured once per game by one player, so you can't capture any treasures that someone else has already captured. Place a player token on the captured treasure to show that it's yours. If your treasure score after going through the dungeon is a negative number or 0, you don't get to capture a treasure, but you do get a hireling for your next adventure. Place a player token on the castle on the treasure board to show this. And when you use your hireling, remove that player token and roll 4 dice when you're putting down your hero dice. Some treasures will give you magical assistance on the rest of your adventures, and they will allow you to do such things as add to your attack, and only your attack, for a particular hero, or defend a particular hero, or allow a hero to go earlier in their turn order, or allow you to steal a treasure that another player has already captured, or to re-roll the dungeon dice after they have all been rolled, or give you a permanent magical hireling. Once each player has had 3 adventures, whoever has treasures worth the most total victory point tokens, the gem icons, is the winner. In case of a tie, whoever has the most victory point tokens from the most dangerous dungeon is the winner. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. And if you're interested in more postcard games, go to postcardgames.com. May your swords always be pointy and your wands always be sparkly.